Just a quick reminder, Hyper V is a critical strategic technology at Microsoft. Everything that you interact with on Azure is running on Hyper V, period. Okay, I take that back. There's one exception. It's called the Azure VMware solution. That is running on bare metal. Everything else is all running on Hyper V. So that's how critical Hyper V is to us. Well, one of the things that we recognize with Windows Server, especially using it for Hyper V virtualization, networking, and storage, is we want to provide a new, improved management experience. And with that, I'm going to invite buddy Dan to take it from here.
Thanks, Jeff. So as Jeff mentioned, we have a number of you are actually looking for a new virtualization platform. And you know that if you're looking for a new virtualization platform, one of the most critical aspects of that is the management platform. A good management platform can be the difference between making it home on time to your kid's soccer game and having an extended support window or maintenance window. It can be the difference between a minor blip and resolving that issue or having to have an after action and root cause analysis there. So Windows Admin Center is actually evolving. And what we're going to spend the next couple of minutes talking about, the next 15 minutes or so talking about, is how we're evolving Windows Admin Center to meet the needs of customers that are looking to migrate to the Hyper V platform. The first thing is we're evolving into two different experiences. The first is going to be Windows Admin Center Administration Mode. This is what you're used to seeing. This is the existing experience that you already have. And that's going to be focused on system administration going forward. But we're also going to bring Virtualization Mode now. Now, this is a whole new experience, and we're going to spend the rest of this time trying to show you just how you can actually leverage this and how you can use this in your infrastructure. The first key to Virtualization Mode is that this is purpose-built for your virtualization environment. It's not going to be distracted with other functionality that you don't need. It's going to be focused on virtualization and doing the fabric management that you need to do in your environment. It's going to be an appliance model. So you're not going to have to worry about setting up a whole bunch of databases on your own, managing those capabilities, doing all these extra prerequisites. We have exactly one prerequisite before you do the install for this. One. And I'll show it to you. I'll prove it to you in just a second. We'll support a wide range of storage, whether it be SAN storage, NAS storage. It could be a Windows SMB share. Okay? We'll still support the hyperconverged infrastructure as well. So no matter what type of storage you have, we're going to, if Hyper V supports it, you can use it and manage it here. We also support traditional and SDN networking, so you'll be able to integrate your SDN virtual networks. But if you're not there, if you want to just use regular traditional VLANs, that'll be fine, just fine as well. We'll have integrated VM conversion. So if you're sitting on another hypervisor platform and you want to migrate, let's say from your VMware environment over to Hyper V, we'll have that tool right in there. You can select a whole bunch of virtual machines, queue them up, and they'll just start running. Right? They'll just move over and cut over. That's an online migration. And if you want to talk more about that after the session, we'd be happy to chat with you either at the booth or here. And finally, as Jeff mentioned, we want to ARC enable as many VMs as you can. That'll give you a centralized view of your actual virtual machines, and that'll enable you to actually do some centralized management in the Azure portal of those guest virtual machines. So what's actually changing? Right? We're going to break this down a little bit just so you can understand the difference between what you have today and what you can do with Virtualization Mode. So as we mentioned, there's going to be two different experiences. They're going to live in perpetuity side by side. Right? You'll be able to install one on your client systems, and that first one is going to be called Administration Mode, designed for system administration. As I mentioned, you'll install that on your client machine. It could be your laptop. It could be any other server. And you and your colleagues will each install this very lightweight, stateless system, stateless application on your system. You will, over remote PowerShell, connect out to your servers. And you do tasks like managing apps, starting or stopping services, modifying the registry, and setting up scheduled tasks, etc. But if you're in a virtualization environment, you want a fabric management tool. You want something to manage your hypervisors, your storage, your SDN environments, your network configurations through network ATC, and you want that all in one single pane of glass. And that's where Virtualization Mode comes in. As I mentioned, it's designed for fabric management. You no longer install something on your individual machines. You actually just do one centralized installation on a dedicated physical or virtual machine. you'll connect to this. You and your teammates will connect to this over HTTP, and you'll access this web browser. All of this will sit in that one system. Again, that'll be an appliance setup. And then using an agent, we will connect to those Hyper V machines. That will allow you to deploy the hypervisor, modify your VM settings, create templates, configure your storage, set up your networking environments, and deploy those out to the cluster. Let's take a look at some of the basics here and talk to you about what you're going to need to do to get this set up. The first is install the prerequisite. Now, I promised before, it's just going to be one prerequisite. That prerequisite is the Visual C++ redistributable. You can install that as simply as running this one simple command. That one simple command, if you're connected to the internet, it'll go off to the package gallery, download, and with that silent switch, it'll automatically install for you. And then you're ready. You can just go through the installer. These are the prerequisites for the actual machine that's going to run virtualization mode. You need a physical or virtual machine running Windows Server 2022 or later, 4 vCPUs, 8 gig of RAM, 10 gigs of disk space.
Very lightweight.
I think it's super lightweight. I think everybody could afford that, right? That's smaller than just about most of any of the other virtual machines that you have in your environment. As I mentioned, it's going to operate like an appliance. That appliance is going to actually run PostgreSQL, and that's what's going to bring the state. So when you and your teammates connect into that system, they will have, each of you will have the same view, and you'll be able to set up RBAC rules that allow you to customize access to each of those clusters. And the best part, we've never charged for Windows Admin Center. We're not going to start now. Still no additional costs for any of this. All right, let's take a look at the installation. Now, I told you that prerequisite was there. We'll go through and get that started. So here we go. When you first click on the Windows Admin Center installation, it'll prompt you if you don't already have the prerequisite satisfied there. If you click yes here, it'll take you to the website where you can just download that. Perhaps you need an offline installation. You can go and download this, pull it down, bring it over to your virtualization mode system. But if you are online, you can do this as simply as just this one winget command. Again, this goes off to this is our package manager. You can do a quick search here. Very quickly, that'll pull down a list of all the packages that match that search. This is the one we need, the x64 version of the 2015 Visual C++ redistributable. And now we'll just do the install command. Now what's great is that this installation is actually not sped up. This is real time right here. That installs literally that quickly.
We're done. We're ready to install.
And now we're ready. There's no more setup that you need to do before this. Now I want you to pay attention. If you've installed Windows Admin Center, how many extra screens are actually included in this installer here? Of course, we'll accept the EULA. And we're going to choose the Express setup. We're going to generate a self-signed certificate. By GA, you'll be able to use your own certificates for that web gateway. And here's the one and only new screen on the installer. You'll set up a Postgres username and a Postgres password. You'll want to remember that if you ever need to get into the database. When we click next here, you'll be prompted to select your update selections, and then you can choose the diagnostic and telemetry levels there. Once you click install, we're off. Now what you'll notice is you don't have to install the database. You don't have to install, the Windows ADK. You don't have to install any other prerequisite. We had one prerequisite there, just one, that Visual C++ redistributable. Now it's installed. Virtualization mode is ready. This is the gateway that you've all known and loved. And you see the green banner here, so we know we're at virtualization mode. Right? This is a brand new experience designed for fabric management. So now let's talk about how we take this to the next step. Now that we have this installed, let's talk about creating a resource group, adding hosts, and then finally creating a virtual machine. So a resource group is just the way that we will actually organize our infrastructure. So we'll start by creating our first resource group. Now you can use this to organize however you need. We did this geographically. We'll take Seattle here. And then we'll go through the add resource wizard. Now this will be the same add resource wizard, whether you're adding an existing host, creating a new host or cluster, if you're expanding a new host, if you're onboarding storage, you would go through this exact same wizard. You would just change the host profile that you're selecting there. The host profile indicates what the purpose of that system is in your infrastructure. Is it going to provide storage to your virtual machines? Is it going to run the hypervisor for your virtual machines? We're going to set up our network ATC configuration. That allows us to set up a standard configuration for all of the nodes. In the future, we'll have SAN and file storage available for you, hyperconverged infrastructure. Eventually, we click through all of this and we go to the deployment status. We can see exactly what's happening as we're onboarding this node. This machine is being onboarded. It's being stored in the database. We're installing an agent on that system. If anything ever goes wrong with that installation, you just go to that deployment status and you'll find out, you can easily find out what went wrong. Of course, here we see it now in the infrastructure. We have two nodes, in the infrastructure. We can go ahead and create a new virtual machine. This is a real live running Hyper V host now. We'll select a storage path. Again, in the selection process, we didn't set up any shared storage here. This is just a local disk. And we have a disk sitting there just to set up the virtual machine and keep this demo moving quickly. And there it is. But we're not done there. Once you have a whole litany of these machines in there, of these Hyper V hosts, you need to be able to find the one you're looking for. You need to be able to find the virtual machine that you're looking for. And we're going to support a large number of hosts and a large number of VMs. We'll talk about the exact extensibility limits later in the presentation. But here you have a whole list of machines on the left-hand side. You can see all of them at once. There's no more going back to a connection page where you have to select that new machine and then connect back over, go back to the other machine, connect back in. Here we just search for the machine we wanted. They're all in the list there. When it comes down from the drop-down, I select that machine. It takes me right to the machine that I wanted to look at. In the future, we'll be able to search by type. So if you wanted to search for only virtual machines that match your search requirements, you'll be able to do that. You could also search by hierarchy. So if you said, oh, I want to look in the San Francisco resource group, only the San Francisco resource group, or I'm looking for a virtual machine in San Francisco in the 610 cluster. You can specify that, and it'll find items that match your search there. Now let's take a look at adding a cluster. We showed you add a standalone node. Now we're going to add a cluster. And the key here, what we want to look for, is on the deployment status wizard, you're going to see all the different changes that occur. This, again, is the same add resource wizard that we saw when we did the standalone node. We resolved the DNS name. And the system is smart enough to understand that this is a cluster, and it pulls back all of the nodes that are currently in that cluster. Now we go through and we onboard our network ATC intents. We're going to select 2 symmetric NICs. We're going to select our storage options. Again, there you'll be able to see the LUNs that have been provisioned to you, and you'll be able to set those up. You can set up your file shares, and you can even make a number of different compute settings and make sure that they match across the entire system, every system that's been onboarded. Now you see in the deployment status wizard that there is a cluster being onboarded. Every node that's being onboarded has tasks, right? We have to go out, we have to install that agent, just like we did on the standalone node. We have to store that in the database. You'll be able to see individual status for each of those nodes. And now the cluster is online. We can see the cluster resources are there. If we click on one of the nodes, we can start to see all the different capabilities that we have there. Who here has disaster recovery plans? Hope every hand goes up. Oh my goodness, come on guys, hands up. We gotta have a DR plan, right? Well, I have good news. One of the reasons that many hands don't go up is because DR is hard, right? It's hard, it costs a lot of money, and it's just in general difficult to actually manage. Well, your apps are actually running in these virtual machines. And so our Hyper V Replica team came in and said, Dan, we need to solve this problem. We need to make this simple. We have Hyper V Replica. We need a management tool to take us forward here. So the Hyper V Replica team came in, and they brought in their new management tool. They brought this Hyper V Replica capability into Virtualization Mode, our new management tool. Hyper V Replica, if you're not familiar with it, allows us to do asynchronous replication and allows you to test your failover, do a planned failover, or in the event of an actual disaster, an unplanned failover. That allows you to go to the actual disaster recovery site and bring your machine up. It allows you to even extend to a third site. So let's say you have a branch office and you're synchronizing that to your cloud data, to your data center. And then you say, you know what, I need a third site. Just in case my data center loses power as well, I'm going to send that off to Azure. Or I'm going to send that off to another site, right? So you can extend that disaster recovery to even a third site. So let's take a look at how we configure that in virtualization mode. You'll see I'm on node 4 here. Ooh, I didn't click go. There we go. When I click on the settings, you'll see a new tab at the bottom left-hand side called replication. You'll enable this server as a destination system. You'll select the authentication mechanisms. Once you click save, you can go over to a virtual machine and set that virtual machine up to replicate to that destination system. Here's the virtual machine that we're going to replicate. Once we go to manage, we'll be able to configure replication for that virtual machine. We'll select the port. In this case, we're going to use HTTP, not HTTPS. And we can select the interval at which we want to do our asynchronous replication. This ultimately means the recovery point that you can get back to. I'm going to click Enable Replication, and that machine is now going to synchronize asynchronously in the background. It could be 30 seconds behind, it could be 5 minutes behind, or 15 minutes behind. Those are the 3 intervals that you can select. Once I refresh, you can see that this is set up for a current replica server of ZMH v04. I want to do a planned failover, so I need to shut down the virtual machine. In this case, the planned failover, I'm just testing. Right? So if I shut that virtual machine down, it'll finish synchronization, make sure everything's up to date at the destination site. Now you can see that the prerequisite checks have passed, and I can kick off that failover. Now I go back to the destination machine. I see the virtual machine again.
Boom.
It's currently in a stop state, but this is the replica, right? So it's remained online on the other side. And here we have a whole litany of new replication stats that we can look at, little details that you can see. Here we're going to do a failover. It's going to actually do that failover for us. You can see the status right there in the notifications there. Kicks off. And now when we go back to node 3, we can see that the current primary server is still ZM3. And I can mess with these different scenarios again. I can update my settings. I can do the resynchronization. I can tell it what windows I want to synchronize in. So if I want to stay away from 9 to 5 because that's when we're using the system most, I can do that. I can tell it don't synchronize outside of this. All right. So moving on, where are we heading from here? Right? Well, by general availability, which we'll give you a timeline at the end, we're going to have a variety of new capabilities here built on WAC v2 using our modern Fluent UI for better performance. This is going to bring state through managed database and agents, and it's going to bring the same platform extensibility. So if you have partners that have built extensions for Windows Admin Center and you rely on those extensions, those will work here for as well. We can go through our lifecycle management. We're going to have an automatic agent upgrade, integrated backups and high availability. You're not going to have to be an expert at PostgreSQL. That's going to be all broken in, taken in for you. The capabilities, we're going to have global search, RBAC, SAN, NAS, HCI storage, software-defined storage and networking, VM templates, integrated DR, centralized management of the host networking templates. What that means is you'll be able to take a network template and distribute it out to a variety of different clusters. One click. And from an experiential standpoint, single pane of glass. Single pane of glass, that same onboarding experience, one wizard for all of those different scenarios. Here's your timeline. Today, well, yesterday, we actually entered public preview 1. So if you're at the pre-day, we started that public preview 1 just yesterday. These downloads are actually available for you along with our documentation. Public preview 2 and our conversion tool will actually GA, but public preview 2 for virtualization mode will occur in Q1 of 2026. And then finally, General availability is targeted at Q2 of 2026.
In terms of links, the vMode public preview is available now. Take your pictures out right now and get that AKA link, aka.ms/whack-download vMode. You can get that at now. The documentation, we've already made a bunch of documentation already available at aka.ms/whack-vMode docs. You can stay up to date with the latest vMode, and for unified support customers that need assistance in moving and migrating to Hyper V, please contact us. We've got teams literally dedicated to helping customers move off that old platform into a new platform. So with that, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of Ignite.